Lake Bell, everybody.
Hey. Thanks for being here.
Of course.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
It's good to see you.
It's been so long. I haven't seen you in a while.
I know. This is weird. We're saying hi to each other in front of.
Yeah.
This is a private moment that we're having with you guys.
For this moment. We're never going to sell this house.
I know. We're never going to sell this house.
It's such a beautiful line.
Oh, thanks.
How far along in the process did you write that line?
It's actually not the original ending to the movie, but upon seeing it and editing the movie, I then saw that frame. Like, basically, when we were shooting that scene, I knew that I had written an alternate ending that I wasn't in love with. And this was always in my head. I was like, it depends on how I'm going to frame it and how the composition of that shot will be.
Yeah.
And then when we built that shot, I all of a sudden was like, it's 100% the end of the movie. I'm not even worried about that other scene, you know?
Because I came to a reading of it.
Yeah.
Probably 6 months or 8 months before you shot it, and I didn't remember. I was like, I'm watching it. I'm sure I would have remembered that. Yeah. The line is so beautiful.
I know it's interesting the way that, you know, in the silhouette and in the sort of, you know, with the sort of chaotic experience that they go through right before, and really the messaging of the movie as you know, obviously when you write the movie and then he knows because he's an amazing filmmaker, you write the movie and you edit the movie, you shoot the movie and edit it. It really became actually in the moment that I realized, just framing that shot, how poignant that line became, because, you know, the messaging being that here's my witness in life, you know, through thick and thin, that it's just a silhouetted kind of, it's down to two people. That's what it boils down to.
And it's powerful too, because I feel like Mary and Paul are such a convincing couple.
I know, it's unheard of.
Don't you guys think they're such like an intensely believable couple for two people who are really famous and not married to each other? Like, I totally bought that they were in love.
And you don't know if that's going to be there, you know, when you put two people together. And
right. Did they know each other before
I think, no, they did not. They were not like chums.
Do you have them in mind when you wrote it at all?
Chums. Okay, I just wanted to chew on that a little bit.
They weren't chums.
They were not chums.
That's the British
they
residency
chums,
side.
Yeah, exactly. No, so yeah, when they got together, you know, in rehearsals and stuff, all of a sudden it occurred to me, I'm like, oh, this is gonna work.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You sort of knew.
Yeah, because they and they've become dear friends now. Like, they do dinner party with their partners.
Really?
Yes, they like really chummed out.
I didn't
on this movie.
The chumminess was so
profound.
apparent.
Oh, good. I love this part of a movie.
I know.
Don't you just like?
Well, it's important.
It's fun because you never see it. And then they always say, you know, the characters and incidents portrayed in this movie are not clearly coincidental.
And of course, End Crawl is just like the company that
do that.
Does the
There's like one company that does that.
I want to get in that business.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's like everybody just uses End Crawl.
But there's
Hi, guys. My mom is here.
Oh, really?
And my Grammy.
Give her a round of applause. Wow.
My brother Gig. I've got like major representation here tonight.
I've had a lot of great movie experiences in this cinema. You probably have too.
Me too.
I've seen so many good movies.
This is like a magic place.
It is.
I know. I was like, how many times can I take pictures of my poster at the Angelika?
Exactly.
Yeah. Because I grew up in New York, and so I was just like, oh my god. It's like
I also had the thing with their coupledom or their chumminess. I didn't think I could feel sentimental about a sidecar.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was possible. I thought it was only an ironic item. And then I actually felt emotion when he gives her the sidecar.
Well, you know, there's always like this thing. What I really liked about that was the idea of a couple that has like, it's all about being seen, right? In a relationship, like they all want to be seen in some way, and that's something that gets lost sight of in a rapport, where it's like one person is sort of on one track and the other on the other track, and somehow they become blinkered and they can't see each other. And the idea that someone has taken on this hobby or whatever that gives them great joy, and I've seen this in my family, so this was something that I could like pull from. And then they just want to be included. It's like they're like so angry about it, but
really
it's because
simple idea.
But they've just never been invited to partake. So it was just that gesture, I guess, that I was interested in.
I think the question on everyone's mind is, how do you know so much about massage parlors?
That is my mom's here, so no.
That's just what I was thinking. Massaging. I was like, wow, that's really specific.
The massage parlor thing too, and this was something that I sort of enjoy a scene where in comedy where there are no words. You know, it's like a line that you write, and in the script where it's just like that much. It's like a stanza that big, but then it becomes this like long. I love the challenge of that. You know, where it's like, okay, there are no words in this scene. Now, how do we play this out and like have comedic circumstances? You know, it's
and the actresses who play the professionals at the massage parlor are phenomenal. They must be locals, right? Based on indie film usually.
Yeah. It was shot in Long Beach, actually.
Oh, it was. Okay.
So spoiler.
I was thinking it was Florida. But
movie magic. We only did like a sprinkling of sort of guerrilla kind of like filmmaking. We went down to Vero Beach, for like 3 days or something, and I was really after kind of like flurry, because I had written like big beautiful Florida skies, you know, with like thunder on one side and you know rainbows and you know sun on the other side. And I told my producer, I was like, I'm telling you, it's every afternoon there's a thunderstorm. We're gonna get this so easy. And I went down there and it was like I was like storm chasing and I couldn't get anything. So we didn't have any rain anyway, so I had to cut that part and then just go for like cool old dudes playing shuffleboard, which was great.
Don't work with babies, animals, or weather.
Never do it. Never write that in there.
Never write in weather, right?
I know. Like, who do I think I am? God. Yeah.
So, you know a lot about massage parlors and home births.
And I do know about home births.
You did have a home birth,
I've done that twice. Yeah.
You did it twice?
I did it twice.
Wow.
Like a maniac.
That's really intensely...
it was much longer because I was like, the authenticity must be raw, you know. So I had written this whole sequence, and then we shot a lot more, and then it ended up being sort of more succinct.
Well, there's a ton of specificity in all the shots.
Yeah, I'm like, there's one thing that I always look at, and I'm like, shit, is that sorry, Grammy, I didn't mean to curse. I'm working so hard right now because usually it's like F-bomb city. But basically, there's like one sequence that it's like you'd be, if you were pushing, you know, if you were on the toilet pushing, that would be technically the last thing. But then visually, you know, it just didn't work.
Right.
So I had to flip-flop. But you guys wouldn't know that. I'm just saying.
I would not know.
No, he's been... This one woman is over there just like angry about the sequence.
Wow.
But home birth, yeah.
So I could ask the question that everybody asks, but I don't want to be that person, but I'm also interested to know. So I guess I'll say how do you feel about marriage before writing the movie versus after writing the movie and living it? Yeah,
I started writing the movie like 9 years ago when I was more of a Vivian. I really set out to write I'm a slowpoke writer, so like I set out to write this movie purely as a therapeutic exercise to kind of unpack the concept of like committed relationships, you know, specifically marriage. And because I was pretty dark about it, I had some very jaded, clearly, feelings about it. And so I had these like long diatribes of like Vivianisms, you know. I'd been reading like Mating in Captivity and, you know, all these like sort of, you know, a lot of literature that was kind of going against the grain in terms of the tradition of matrimony. But then I read this.
Upset Grammy more.
I know, I'm so sorry. No, but it has a happy ending. And so then I read this article about Gabrielle Pauli, who was this German politician who sort of presented to her government in a very real way that marriage should be reformed, that there should be a 7-year contract with an option to renew. And I was like, well, that's interesting, and I want to converse about that.
Yeah.
So that sort of inspired me to kind of that's where Vivian's sort of like concept came from. And then...
Yeah, because I found her, for most of the movie, to be convincing.
Yeah, no, I know.
Round of applause if you found her to be convincing.
Like, at times,
during
you're
the movie. Like, because I was like 7 years. Yeah, that's really smart. I was thinking that's really no. For renewal.
Yeah,
and certainly I would renew with my wife.
Yeah,
but I do think it's a smart idea.
Just to like rethink things and and like maybe if you were like, well, at 4 years, if you got into a mess and then you're like, well, let's do 3 more years, be on our best behavior because we're gonna go separate ways in 7 years, And
certainly people. We all know people who have had marriages that are 10 years and. You shouldn't view it as a failure. It's just that was a time in their life,
successful
and something
relationship, and then move on. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not. I thought that part was really interesting and compelling.
I hope that it prods that conversation. And then I met my now husband whilst writing this movie, and so that was really helpful. I always wanted to have a happy ending to the movie as a fantasy, as it was like the unromantic who really was hoping to be proved wrong one day, and he enter Scott Campbell, and he was very cool, and and he's like tattoos, but he's very traditional in many ways, much more so than I, and so he was like, we're getting married, he doesn't talk like that, but like emotionally, that's how he talks. And so, then I was, he sort of taught me these great lessons that it's far braver and like cooler to like go all in and to commit. How about that? I was like, okay, whatever you want. So,
He doesn't sound like Ed Helms at all.
No, I know he's not. Well, I had to adjust. I mean, I'm clearly not.
And you're not.
Alice.
The character.
Yeah. But yeah, so it was really interesting, like the shift. It was, and that's why I think it took me so long to write the movie, because it's like I wanted to kind of be married, to sort of investigate and sort of feel what that's like. And, we've gone through tons of shit, even in a small period of time.
Sure.
So, and I think, being on, I was a child of divorce, but it's fine. It's fine. I just saying I was.
By the way, that's
it's fine.
the awkward part.
Yeah, I went to therapy. But the point is I, could see kind of, oh, okay, here's divorce from this side. And then here are I have friends who have been divorced. I have like, it's around. We all have that, So it's like I could kind of observe relationships from different viewpoints and wanted to continue to investigate. I think of this as like chapter 1 in like a lifelong commitment, in investigation of the subject.
Yeah, of course. No, I totally relate to that. And I thought that Wyatt, I don't know the actress's name, but Wyatt
and Amber Heard
and Amber's relationship was really adorable.
Well, they're really.
That was a thing that on the page it was super funny too. And that was another thing, like believable on the screen too. At the table, was it like that?
Yeah, you mean at the
table, or at the when you had rehearsal? Sorry.
No, they did not rehearse together, so they had to kind of arrive on set together because Amber's a very busy woman, and Wyatt was coming in from New York.
Is she like super famous from something that I should know about?
She's like super famous.
Is it some like cartoon thing? Or,
she is a cartoon person because she's so symmetrical.
This always happens to me. I go to like cool indie films, and then they're like, "Oh, that person's famous from a thing you'll never see, but is so popular and is more popular than anything you'll ever go see."
Well, I will. She is one of the. Yeah, she's like. She's
in like a superhero movie?
She's totally a superhero. What's the thing? Aquawoman? I don't know. What is she? She's amazing. She's very sexy and gorgeous.
Does anybody know?
She's Johnny Depp's
ex-wife. Well, there you go.
Well.
Is that a credit?
But I will
is that on IMDb?
So here's what I will say about that, is that...
You don't have to speak to that just because this gentleman brought it up.
No, he brought it up. It's fine. We're all friends in here. But what I will say is that she does not get the chance to do comedy, very often. Yeah. So you don't... It's like, this is not her fare.
She's really funny.
But she was hilarious. So it's cool to bring, like, dramatic actors into the comedy space, and then, of course, comedic actors like Wyatt Cenac into the dramatic space.
He's great. I worked with him in Sleepwalk with Me, and I found him to be wonderful to work with.
Yeah, he's awesome, and he was so moving in that moment where he asks her to, like...
It's beautiful.
Yeah, he's like... I was like, you're perfect. Thank you.
It's so funny that... Seeing this, and having just like a month ago seen Midsummer Night's Dream at the park, right? Did anyone see Midsummer Night's Dream in Central Park this summer?
She did.
Shakespeare in the Park, which is a wonderful production. And did you catch it?
I did not.
You were probably in
I was
Los
just
Angeles.
Birthing a baby at home.
Birthing a child. But yeah, it's got a lot of echoes of it, certainly.
Yeah, I mean, like, of course, it's like, I don't want to be like, so I liken myself to Shakespeare.
Yeah.
But I liken myself to Shakespeare.
Of course.
No, I was kidding.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say that certainly the Vivian character, was definitely in the structure of that. I like to think of Vivian as a puck. That she was a rebel rouser and that she's sort of like mischievous. And, but of course,
the reverse of.
Yeah, and she sort of like, to justify her existence and, to kind of connect with her. You cast Dolly Wells so that she's like delightfully goofy and sweet, but then also heartbreaking because of her own sort of woes, Yeah.
Does anyone? Should we open up?
No pressure, by the way.
Questions?
If you
have a question?
do have one, it's okay. This is a safe place.
So this is your second director. The first one was In a World, your debut. How is directing yourself and acting? Did you learn a lot from the first film you did, and do you direct the scene before you act in it, and then how's it how does that work?
How does it function? Yeah.
You guys all heard that, right?
Yeah, how do you? I would be interested to hear how you do it. I have a system that worked. That was experimental on In a World, where I sort of auditioned a stand-in who fully knew that this is what her job would be, but someone who had my likeness and sensibility.
Amazing. I fantasized about doing that. I thought that would be a cool idea.
Yeah,
and
right.
I never executed. Would it work?
It really works. Yeah, I worked her. I used her for Becca. I worked her for In a World and for this. That way we had a camaraderie. There's trust there.
That is so good.
She knows the lines every day. So when I would rehearse first with first team with the actors, we would block out the scene. I'd be like, all right, we're sitting here. This is what our camera's going to be here, and I would do the scene with everyone as the actor, and then send the actors back to like get ready and chill in the trailer or whatever. It's an indie movie. Chill on the floor. And then. And then Becca would be there. But then even as I set up the shot and did the whole thing, you bring first team back, and Becca stays there in there. Like the stand-in would stay in there right until the last minute, and then I would go ahead and stick myself in right before we shot. So she would really do all the rehearsals with everyone until the very last minute, and that really helped. So you could really see everything compositionally and and all that jazz. But it was really good. Yeah, I did that on In a World and then use that again, that same system.
I'm gonna totally copy that.
Yeah, no, you should. It's fantastic.
That's a great idea. And then someone had a question right here.
Hi. I noticed throughout the movie the character of Alice wore white pretty much the whole time, and I was wondering if that was a conscious, symbolic decision in any way.
Yeah, like super conscious, super symbolic. The original conceit for the character, she is quite vanilla, and often in movies it's like when there's a lead character and it's like, in a sea of blondes, one brunette stood among them all, in a red dress, and it was like, that's not how Alice sees herself, and that's how she isn't seen as well. So the point is, I wanted her to be washed out, just like her hair and her face are the same color as her shirt and her pants, so she's just a swath of beige. That was the original idea. And then also, my mom is here. My mom is very sort of wonderfully specific in the way that I hope you're wearing white tonight, Mom. But she traditionally dons much eggshell, and is a very beautiful woman of blonde hair and sort of fair. And so I liked her, I like that visual, and I sort of utilized it and kind of, poor Mom. But it with great love and affection and endearment.
I love that. I think it's a single take with you and Ed in bed when he masturbates or has masturbated before the scene is started.
Sorry, Grammy.
Again, I apologize, but but it's a beautiful shot.
Thank you.
It's
this
very hard to shoot in bed.
This is my favorite scene.
I've shot a handful of scenes in bed, and it's hard to. There's no good angles, and that's a good angle.
It's nice, and then initially how I wrote it was that it was pitch black.
Oh,
like,
that's smart.
That you like come at it and you just hear like the, like the rustling.
But it's very dark.
It's super dark.
Yeah.
And that's like the limit that we decided to go with. But it's my favorite scene.
It's a beautiful shot.
It's
one, right? It's one shot?
It's one shot, yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Because, and
it was like 2 takes or something. I was like, I'm done.
And the chemistry's really nice with Ed. Were you friends with Ed before that?
Yeah. Ed, I had known for many years. We had done like a little bit on Children's Hospital, but nothing, very little. But I knew him more socially, and I'd, I was like, oh, I wonder if he would come and play. I don't know, and so he was someone that I had utilized in my head.
I love that scene. Like one of the ways that I like locking in films sometimes is that as a series of short films in a certain sense, like it's, like if something is like a series of short films that each capture you and then add up to like a larger whole, it's like a really beautiful experience, I think. And I feel like this had that, and I feel like that scene with Ed is totally. I mean, it's like a 2-minute short film on its own.
Right.
Like you could have that play cold, separate from this entirely, and people would be like, "That was fucking awesome."
I'm going to take it to Sundance next year
as
a short film.
You just cut the movie up into parts.
That's a really interesting way to look at it. I think, it's always like a really exciting moment or a real turn on to have a oneer that really functions on its own, where you're just like.
Classic Angelika moment, by the way. Subway.
Love it. Right when the credits were rolling, I was like, and Subway.
Yeah. So classic.
We're just having a classic moment right now.
It is. Anyone else have a question? Go ahead.
Did you take any inspiration from scenes from a marriage?
Indeed. Scenes from a marriage. Yes. And there's even some like visual references in there in the art direction. That was super interesting to me, as well as Bob and Carol into Dallas.
Oh, yeah.
There was
that
like
was a
sprinkle.
Last one.
Yeah.
That movie's perfect.
It's perfect. I mean, Mazursky in general is pretty darn cool.
Yeah. Amazing.
Because it's like that. It's like funny and also real, and like with a sprinkle of silly occasionally, which.
Have you seen Next Stop Greenwich Village?
No, have you seen?
It's a really good Mazursky one.
Is it?
Yeah.
I like I Love You, Alice B. Toklas.
I don't know that one.
That was a pretty good one, too.
He's like a strangely undiscussed filmmaker.
I know. And
in this era. I mean, I think in his era, he was discussed
huge,
a lot.
Yeah.
Huge, yeah. But you got round of applause. Do you know Paul Mazursky's films?
Yeah, we've got some people going. Like that.
Look up Bob and Ted and Carol and Alice, or
and then,
I'm getting the name, and then
rewatch that because
he did Scenes from a Mall, right?
Did he do Scenes from a Mall?
I don't think so. But
is there a representative from IMDb here? Just
somebody's better at this than us.
But yeah, so anyway, that was definitely a reference.
Someone else had a question right there. Go ahead.
Oh, this lady.
If any part of this was improvised, if so, I mean, were you on script for however many takes and then went off and finished with improv, or how did that go?
Yeah, we have a lot of improvisers in the movie, but strangely, I think almost when you have 20 days to shoot and there's almost like a luxury to improvising, and this particular, and same within a world, it was like we just stayed on script, and I almost feel like it's just.
What was your day count? I'm sorry,
20 days. So it's, what was your day count for?
25, I think.
Right. Oh, those 5 days. I just wanted them so hard. And I did not get them. Because I was like, I have a little more budget than In a World. And I was like, I think I'm definitely going to get 25 days. And they were like, and 20 days. It was just, anyway.
Wow.
So I did it again. But to answer your question, we would do, we would do like 6 takes and get it right. And once I felt like I had the exact script in the can and everything started to sound organic, like it was improvised, I was then like, we would do a tumble take, and tumble take is like, it's a freebie, and then somehow nobody goes off book. When you tell them that they can, then all of a sudden it's just a looser take. Everyone just feels confident and like, I could go off book, but I'm not gonna, but it's just like, I already did it. I got it in the can, you know.
Yeah.
I always love tumble takes. And then occasionally there'll be like a fun, weird thing that happens that ends up in the movie. But it's sprinklings. It's not like, ooh, let's see what happens, you know. It's just like a luxury.
Go ahead.
I was wondering what drew you to the character of Alice. Was it from writing the movie, you said, oh, that's me, or when the group came together?
Wait, hold on. You just were writing the movie and then you go, oh, that's me?
That's what I do all the time, obviously. So.
No, it's a good question. No, I think, you know, with all of the characters in my writing process, I don't know how you do, but I improvise in my head, all of them, male, female, animal, and just, you know, they're all me in some ways. You know, I really love and connect to all of them. And so, you know, in my head, I was like kind of falling in love with Vivian at a certain point in my life. And then I was like, I'm not really that, you know. And I felt like Alice was someone that I would never get cast as necessarily, you know, because of her sort of nature of her sort of like who is calling you on that walkie? No, it's fine. There's no, you know, mystery here. We're in a theater.
Do we have a hard out time-wise?
Do we?
Is that
Are
why
we?
they're getting walkie-talkied?
She's not answering it.
She can tell us.
She's walking away.
They might want to. Maybe
All
they're
right.
filling the
Yeah,
theater
they
with
may
other
that we have to
people or
go.
something
That's
like
all right.
that.
All right, I'll wrap it up. So
You
anyway,
tell us the truth.
yeah, just tell it. Well, this is not like
it's better than
fancy.
just running away.
I
Sorry,
know.
one more question.
One more question. There it is. Okay. So to answer
Finally.
your question, I don't even know what I was talking about. What was I talking about? Alice.
You're all the characters.
Yeah, I'm all the characters, whatever. So she's very sort of like apologetic for the space that she takes up, and very low status, and you know, insecure.
And she has great puns.
And she has great puns. She's just a pun machine. But I thought that it would be interesting to play because it was just very different than what I had been used to, and it was a character that I knew, that I grew up with, that I knew girls who were kind of like of that ilk and sort of neo-traditionalist, neo-old-fashioned. You know, I thought that was interesting. And so it was just something I'd never played. But it was very hard, by the way, to go from like low status to like high status. So, you know, the character is one shape, and then, you know, as a director, you have to be like, all right, everybody, back to one. Here we go. You know, it was just like a weird mind trip.
Bossing people around.
Yeah, I had like scents in my fanny pack that I would unzip. And one was like the powerful scent, and the other one was the Alice sad scent. So I would like smell sad Alice scent, and I'd be like, and then like smell the powerful scent, and be like, all right, you know. It was just like a weird thing that I tried to do. And look, he's like looking at me like. One of them was.
You don't get two questions.
No, he wants to know what the scents were, but that's not the last question. But just so you know, one of them was like Liz Claiborne, you know. For Alice, and then like and then the other one was like this crazy Thailand spicy sexy power scent that's probably illegal or something that I got over in Thailand. Anyway.
Wow. One more question. Who has the best question? Who has the
look,
question
she's
that
very
is gonna
confident.
is going to close
Blondie.
this out in such a strong way?
One blonde among a sea of brunettes.
Hi. My question is, near the end, did you grapple with the choice of whether or not Alice would kind of get revealed? Because she does a lot of, like, deceitful things. She does a massage type of thing. Did you kind of did you grapple with the choice whether or not to have that be revealed to her husband or not? And if you did, kind of...
Yeah, I did. I mean, I did. I felt like, you know, the way that I sort of, like, felt justified in tying that up was, you know, him saying for richer or for poorer in that moment where, you know, in my fantasy of their relationship, she totally feels comfortable now to talk about those things. It didn't happen in that conversation, but the new tapestry of their relationship allows like real shit to be talked about, you know, which is, you know, that space where she sort of reveals, like, I don't know if I want to have a baby. Like, it's very hard for her to say that, and, like, yet liberating, you know? Like, this is our relationship now. We get to say scary stuff, and I know you're not going to go anywhere, you know? So it felt like cloudy and a little bit kind of too convenient to also address that in that moment. And so I just, it just felt like, okay, this is their relationship now, and perhaps they unpack a lot of stuff. But yeah, so that was just authentic in that moment. It was like, honestly, I wrote this movie overly dense. Like I cut so much out of this movie. It's just unheard of. I'm sure you kind of I don't know, maybe not, but there was so much, because you saw the reading.
Oh yeah.
That's on there's so many like bonus scenes on iTunes. There was like a cat fight between me and Amber, like a full tennis, no, not tennis, basketball scene where we're like playing basketball and then like get into a fight. It's like one of my favorite scenes. I had to just like cut, but that's there if you want to see a cat fight. But yeah, so.
Well, thanks for coming out to the movie, and if you like with movies like this, because I've made some too, it's really people like us who go see movies like this, and people like our friends who go see it.
Yeah.
So tell your friends, and then we'll fill up the theater all weekend.
Yeah, I mean that's what we're after. And I will say this, like in as final thoughts, it's like, Sorry, did I touch you? All right.
You didn't, but
okay.
I could have done worse.
What I will say is that the tapestry of our country has a lot of tension, and there's a lot of angst and worry and darkness. And I am proud of this movie for the simple reason that it is hopeful, and kind-spirited. That was always my intention. But it has resonated more with me now, just to the simple conceit to just lean into the person that you love and to go through the mud and the light with someone, that becomes more poignant for me in this moment. And so I just want to put that out there in the universe a little bit. So if not, share it because you like it, or share it for that reason too, with someone.
Yeah, it's an optimistic movie, and dark times.
In dark times. In dark times.
Like Bell, everybody.
Like I actually